Hi, and welcome to the Boss Body Podcast. This is Sarah Haas, and I am so happy that you're here with me. And I am so excited because this is my 50th podcast episode. So I have been doing this for almost exactly a year now. And I want to thank you guys all for being listeners and for tuning in and for supporting the podcast. And I hope that this is just giving you value and adding to your life and giving you new points of views and opening your mind to what is possible for you in your life. And, I'm just excited to still be around after 50 podcasts. And to celebrate, I wanted to sort of circle back to the theme that I started off the podcast with, because I have a lot of new listeners as well. So if you are a new listener, welcome. And if you are someone who's been with me for a while, thank you so much for sticking with me. But I want to talk about today the 4 pillars of health and how that is really the key to not only releasing weight, but to feeling good, to living the life that you want, to becoming the woman that you want to be. And I just want everything for you that you deserve and to know that you do deserve it all. All right. So my goal in creating this podcast to begin with is because I want you to feel good. I see women every day not feeling good. Not only are we tired and busy and stressed, we're anxious, we're depressed, we're not sleeping well, we have low energy, and maybe worst of all, we're very unhappy with ourselves. We don't like our weight. We don't like how our bodies look. And we have that constant inner critic in our heads berating us and telling us that we have failed and that we're not good enough. We're not thin enough. We're not pretty enough. We're not smart enough. We're not successful enough. We don't cook enough. We don't keep our house, up to the level that we think we should. And that enoughness is so sad and so detrimental to our overall health. And it just upsets me that so many of you, that all of you out there are such amazing women. You're so hardworking. You are so accomplished. You are so smart. You are so caring. You're so loving. You're so dedicated. And yet you still feel like you're not enough. And the reason that I wanted to start talking about it, the reason that I wanted to create this podcast was to help you reframe that, help you change your mindset, help you turn it around and realize what is actually the truth. And that's what I want to talk about today, because I want you to be your healthiest self. I want you to be healthy and balanced in your body, your mind, and your spirit. And I want you to be empowered. I want you to have the career, the relationship, the home, the family that you deserve. And I want you to know that you can have that and you do deserve it. And not just tell you that, but show you how you can actually get it. So when I talk about the 4 pillars of health, what I mean is your overall health is not just about your weight and your diet and your fitness. Yes, that does have a lot to do with it. Yes, that's very important and it's foundational and it is a jumping off point. But your overall health also includes your mental, your emotional, your spiritual, your environmental health. You can eat all the chicken and broccoli in the world, and if you still have a job career that you hate, or are in a toxic marriage or a toxic relationship, if you're living constantly stressed or not getting enough sleep, you are not overall healthy, and it will manifest itself as illness. You hear about people all the time who are young and healthy and fit and eat well, and they still get a heart attack. And I'm not saying that it always manifests in a disease or something that catastrophic, but it could manifest itself in you feeling tired all the time and being stuck and not being able to move forward and really thrive in your life. So my 4 pillars of overall health are eat, move, breathe, thrive. And I'm going to break each one of these down for you. First of all, eat. Obviously, that's your nutrition, that's your food, that's your diet, that is what you are putting in your mouth every day. And it is extremely important. It is extremely foundational, because if you aren't eating well, if you don't have that, you're not going to be able to move forward into thriving, because you are barely surviving. So on this podcast, I am going to talk a lot about nutrition and about giving yourself the food and the nourishment that you need in order to make your body healthy. But the second pillar is also move. And obviously that is your body movement. That is your exercise. That is making sure that you don't have a sedentary lifestyle, that you are moving your body in a joyful way. It doesn't have to be punishing. It doesn't have to be miserable, but our bodies aren't meant to just sit still. Our bodies cannot be healthy if you aren't moving around. So that is really the second foundational element. I want to move on to the third pillar, which is breathe. And this is where we start taking things a little deeper. This is about your stress level. This is about getting enough rest and getting enough sleep. This is about self-care and downtime and alone time, which we desperately need. And these are some of the things that we don't give ourselves. We take care of everyone else. We stay busy, and we don't take time to slow down, to be mindful, to listen to our bodies, to get in touch with our bodies, to understand what our bodies actually need. We have become very disconnected. We're going so hard and fast all day long that we have become numb and out of touch to our own body's signals for hunger, for thirst, that when we need rest and when we need sleep. And so the breathe pillar is all about that slowing down. It's having that time to yourself to do things that are joyful, to do things that are relaxing, to do things that reduce stress, because that is another huge element that is going to impact your overall health. And the fourth pillar is thrive. This is the next level. This is where the magic happens. So eat, move, breathe. Those 3, once you have those 3 in place, that is when you start to thrive. And that is when you can start up leveling your life. And this is something that I love talking about. I love working with my clients on. And I would say for my podcast, this is one of the themes that I cover a lot. And it all has to do with your mental health. It has to do with your mindset. It's feeling worthy. It is knowing that you're enough. It's having self-love and self-compassion and self-acceptance. It's having rich, intimate, meaningful relationships. It's having a career that you love, having spirituality and a connection to your higher power and the bigger reasons that you're here on earth. And it's about living a life that you want and that has meaning and purpose for you. It is pushing past fear. It is getting outside your comfort zone. It is standing up for yourself. It is being authentic. And it is all about living the life that you want. And you have to work on the first three pillars in order to get to this point. If you aren't eating well, if you aren't exercising, you aren't going to have the energy. You're not going to be up for thriving. You're going to be in survival mode. And the same thing with the breathe pillar. That's where you take care of yourself. That is where you realize what you actually need. And so once you breathe, you're able to figure out what you need to do in order to thrive. So I often like to give you guys an action step because I don't want to just tell you what you need to do. I want to help you figure out how to do it. So in thinking about these 4 pillars that I just talked about, let's start with one of the first 3 and take an assessment. Step back and think about, okay, what is the first place that I need to start with? If you listened to the episode last week, we talked about setting goals and resolutions and taking action steps and breaking those down so that you can accomplish those. And so building on that, let's look at these first 3 foundational pillars and make a decision on one small step that you could take that would start getting you on track with one of those pillars of health. Many of you have been stuck in a holding pattern for years and years, or maybe your whole life, trying to get healthy, trying to release weight, and you do it for a while and then you don't do it. And it's that cycle, it's that pattern that keeps repeating itself. And this is where I want to help you break those patterns. When you're in a cycle, taking one step in a different direction actually changes the trajectory. So this is physics. When they say an object in motion, I forget the exact terminology, but when an object in motion will continue in motion until acted on by an outside force. Well, you are the outside force. If you're in a cycle, if you are in a holding pattern where you keep just repeating over and over and over again, how can you break that pattern? You break the pattern by doing something different and taking one small step in a different direction. So if you think about you're in a circular pattern, well, if you take 1% of a turn, you're no longer in that cycle. You're no longer in that pattern. And you start with one small step. So I challenge you today to think about these pillars and think about one thing that is very doable for you that you can start working on so that you can start building up into the thrive category, because ultimately that's what we all want. That's what we all deserve. And that is what I want to help you achieve. So good luck. Let me know what goals you're setting for yourself. Let me know what steps that you are taking. And as always, if there are trainings or information that you want to hear from me, I am always open to suggestions. I want to give you what you want and what you need, and I want to hear from you about what that is. So feel free to make comments anytime and let me know. I am always thrilled to hear from you. Thank you again so much. I appreciate you being here, and I will see you next time.